So we're now into the month of July, and you know what that means? A whole load more PSVR2 games coming our way, and while this is a bit of a quieter month than the last couple of months, there are still a few titles that you should be very excited for. So let's go through them right now. First up, on good old American Freedom Day, July 4th, Synapse makes its way onto PSVR2. This is one I can actually talk about as I have played it, and to be honest, I think it's pretty amazing. It's a roguelike, but with a story focus, with a runtime anywhere between 3 to 12 hours, although it is recommended to have repeat playthroughs to see the entire story on harder difficulties. It involves you going into the mind of a colonel to find out his plans, using telekinetic powers and guns at your disposal to kill enemies and make your way through levels. The mechanics, the haptic feedback, everything on this one is perfect quality, and it's exactly what I've been looking for in terms of what feels like a AAA game for PSVR2. It hasn't got the scope of a proper AAA game, but in terms of mechanics, it's as polished as can be. Telekinesis in particular feels amazing with this one, so if you're on the fence about Synapse or somehow haven't heard about it, this is your wake-up call. Look into it right now, consider getting it. You might want to wait until general consumers get their hands on it to see what they think about it, but from me, it gets a solid thumbs up because it's really an amazing game that makes you feel so powerful, but also balances it with vulnerability as it is a roguelike, and you have to go and do levels over and over again and manage your health throughout your playthrough. Anyway, I could gush for ages about Synapse, but I'll leave the link in the description to my Synapse video if you want to take a look at that one. Up next, we have the anime-inspired sci-fi detective game, Dyschronia Chronos Alternate. This is episode 3 coming out on July 13th, and while I haven't played the other episodes, from what I can gather, it's a detective game that's meant to be played seated, and this is the final chapter. According to other reviews, it's a pretty fun, investigative VR adventure that kind of pushes the boundary in the genre that hasn't really been done before in VR, and I'm sure if you're an anime fan or a detective fan or a fan of sci-fi, you'll probably have a fun time with this one, although I can't comment on the quality of previous chapters since I haven't played them, but if you've been looking forward to the final chapter, here it is on July 13th. Up next, we have Operation Wolf First Mission VR. This was delayed until July from June 22nd, I believe. I didn't feature it last month because I actually wasn't aware of it, but it is the return of a classic on-rails shooter with a pretty fun little art style. This one probably won't be for me as it is, as I said, on rails. But if you're looking for some light-hearted military fun, this might be one to look out for if you don't mind the fact that it is a rail shooter, so you don't get to decide where you go and you're just brought through stages and have to shoot enemies and objectives and targets. It is offering some pretty cool spectacle though, and I'm sure these visuals in the headset will be elevated because everything is in VR. On the flat screen it might not look too impressive, but if you're seeing these tanks, helicopters and soldiers shooting at you while you shoot back, I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. This one also makes its way onto PSVR2 on July 13th, so if a detective game isn't to your liking on that day, maybe Operation Wolf will be. Next up, we have one that is returning from last month. This was delayed quietly in the middle of June, and it's of course VR Skater. Originally set for June 21st, it has now been pushed to July 21st, and I really hope we do get this one on July 21st because I've really been looking forward to it. This is a real skating sim for VR, and from what people have played of the light version on Pico headsets, it's meant to be pretty hard but a lot of fun. That's exactly what I'm looking for in a skating sim in VR, and I can't wait to try it out. It's boasting a real sense of speed, a lot of tricks you can do, combos for multipliers on points, half a dozen great looking and realistic levels, and a real sense of danger and height in certain locations. I really shouldn't be this hyped about this title, but I am. Anyway, like when Hubris appeared multiple times, hopefully this is the last time we see VR Skater on this list, but who knows, it could be delayed again, but for now, it's slated for July 21st, so keep your eyes out for that one. Finally, we have a bit of a strange one since it has no specific date, we just know it's aiming for July, and that is B99 Overclocked. This is an FPS shooter roguelike set in the vision of cyberspace that was perpetuated throughout the 1980s. Much like other VR roguelike games, like the Light Brigade, each level is generated randomly, so you'll be having different stages every time you play, boasting a lot of enemy variety, different weapons, and a very unique art style. Some people might think we've had too many roguelike games for PSVR2 and VR in general, but if you're a fan of this genre, I'm sure you'll be happy with another title fitting into it to add to your collection. Keep an eye out for B99 Overclocked sometime in July. So there we have it. Quite a quiet month, but still one to keep an eye on with plenty of games to be added to your collections. And I'm sure you probably have a fairly big backlog, as do I. Doesn't seem like the PSVR2 train is stopping anytime soon, which I'm very happy about, but it is looking like August is going to be a bit more stacked with Crossfire and Phasmophobia. Also bear in mind, We do get surprise drops throughout the month, so this list isn't comprehensive, as at the end of this month we could find that other games have just been dropped onto the store with no warning. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, feel free to like and subscribe. I usually cover PSVR2 and Battlefield and FPS stuff on the channel with a solid mix of both, so if you enjoy either of those content styles, please do feel free to stick around. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you in the next one.